Hi folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Several things are going on that we wanted to talk a little bit about, but there's one big thing that I wanted to focus on in today's video. Germany, Netherlands, and Poland have made a pact that they are going to move troops towards the border with Russia, and they're made a pact to very quickly react, basically creating kind of almost a QRF, that they would quickly react to any type of aggression from Russia. So there's definitely tensions and things building up there. Interesting with this whole Iran United States thing, you know, Biden said that there's going to be some retaliation there. Well, it's being leaked by the Swiss media that the United States sent messages into Iran before Biden made that speech. Basically, and I'm very much paraphrasing it, I don't think we even know the exact message, but it basically was saying to Iran that we don't really want to start a war with you, and we really don't want to, but maybe we could, you know, strike some targets that's not inside Iran and call it good. In other words, we're a little weak and we're scared of starting a war with you, so why don't you let us save face by hitting some targets that you know, aren't that important to you. They're not, you know, they're like your little militias that you back, but it's not really you. Iran basically fired back and said, listen, we don't really have a desire for a war either, but it's a red line if you touch anything that we consider sovereign Iranian soil, period. I think it just, a lot of it shows the weakness that America's leadership has gotten to. There was, if some of you don't remember this, but there was a war game played out, I believe it was back in 2002. I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was 2002, and it was a war game between the United States and Iran, and basically the war game ended with the conclusion that the United States could not defeat Iran. I mean, in the war game they did, but they kept changing, if you read into it, they kept changing the rules to handicap Iran in this war game. And so basically the conclusion was that the United States would have a very difficult time in defeating Iran, and that was 20 years ago. Iran has definitely stepped up the game in that amount of time, especially with its development of nuclear warheads that they most likely already have. So that's not going so well. The Texas border situation looks to be about the same. I don't see any drastic improvements there. There's been more video coming out along the border of just the thousands and thousands of people that are crossing the border. None of that has slowed down. Remember, this strip of property that's being contested between the state of Texas and the United States government is really about a half a mile, and there's you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles of border with Mexico. So it's not at this point slowing down any kind of illegals pouring into this country, and it's getting worse. I think I saw something about Denver, Colorado, that they've taken in at least 40,000 over the last year, and it's causing their whole system to just kind of break down. They cannot handle that many people all at once poured in, that most of them are in need of some type of services. So that's not a good thing. The big thing that I wanted to talk about, it's not shocking. Okay, this is not new news, but it is something that they're speaking of again. The director of the FBI has stated that they have strong evidence that the Chinese-backed hacker groups are continually attempting to attack water treatment systems in the United States, the electrical grid, and other type of infrastructure targets that they can attack through hacking. Now, what's interesting on a few different things, but one of them is that this is very much, or very similar at least, to the movie that came out a month or two ago. Remember, I was talking about it, and the movie, it was one of these kind of apocalyptic collapse type movies, and the key plot is that the United States was hacked, that our systems were hacked and everything was shut down, and it just caused this snowball effect to where things kind of fell apart. And what was interesting really about that movie is it was produced by the Obamas. and it was very clearly stated that a lot of the ideas of how something like that would happen and how the American people would react to it came from discussions with Barack Obama based on his knowledge of being a former president. So very much sounding like a disclosure type of movie. And then since then, it has been talked several times, and like I said, just recently, very emphatically, that the Chinese are definitely trying to hack our systems, bring down our infrastructure. I think this is a major deal. I think this is very serious for a couple of reasons, and let me get into it. The first is the obvious. They bring down water treatment plants. They bring down electrical grids, communication systems, gas systems, nuclear power plants, coal plants, all these kind of things. The right person, the right knowledge can hack them and cause them to collapse, bring down, melt down, fail, whatever it is. The obvious is there that people would be without stuff. And even if they didn't attack the entire United States, if they did it right in key locations, they could cause a cascading effect to bringing down all or at least most of our infrastructure. This is absolutely devastating, and it would, at least in the initial part, feel very much similar to an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, or CME from the sun. It may not have the same long-term repercussions, but certainly in the beginning it would feel like that. And I would guess that the projections, because there are projections on what would happen if there was an EMP or CME, show that within the first year that up to 90% of the population could die. These are government statistics. I would guess that the numbers of death, if they brought down the whole grid, would be probably similar. I would easily see 50% or more. Absolutely chaotic, devastating. I mean, it would bring America to its knees. Very possibly America would be completely no more, not just in a political sense. And this is the warfare that we're in. Remember that the World Economic Forum has been warning about this. I mean, warning about this for the last few years. They've put out a lot of information saying that cyber warfare, the cyber pandemic, is going to be way greater than the actual medical pandemic, and that it would cause absolute destruction around the world. And so we have that, and we have the World Economic Forum wanting to once again regain the world's confidence in itself, and then talk about all of the potential attempted hacking, things that's going on. So is that something that we have in our future? It's very possible. Even if it's not complete, total, widespread collapse, we could certainly see certain areas of the country loses. We've already seen some. There was a few months back, there was a water treatment system up in Pennsylvania that was taken out due to hacking. And so the possibility of seeing that, at least in certain regions and potentially widespread, is huge. Very, very, very huge. And it's something that we have to be preparing for. You have to have some alternative systems for yourself. And an alternative system could just mean that you have a good water supply and you have a good quality filter to filter water, so that when the water systems break down, if your only source of water is some kind of municipal water or water that comes through the pipes from some kind of shared well system, county water, city water, whatever it is, that's not good enough. That's absolutely not good enough. You're trusting that system will never fail. And water is something that's critical. Electricity. If your only source of electricity is what comes through the power lines from the power company, you got to fix that. And fixing that is either having a diesel generator, propane generator, gas generator, solar panels, some type of alternative backup battery systems that you can run off of, or another alternative is just figure out a way to not need it, so that when it does get shut off, you can still exist. You have candles and lanterns and other ways to keep food cool. Either way, you have to come up with some kind of alternative, because this stuff is happening, and the probability. I said I think it was last week that J.P. Morgan Chase was saying that they had something like, I think it was 45 billion I can't remember the exact number, but it was either 45 or 65 billion hacking attempts every day. Every day that they had that many hacking attempts. I spoke to one of the local banks in my area. He's the vice president, and I've become kind of friends with them. And we were talking about that. And she said, yes, even with the small banks, she said, it's constant. She said, we have to put so much effort and resources, money into preventing the hacking, because it's just a constant barrage. And so at some point, I mean, statistically speaking, some point they're going to break through. And when they do, it could be very devastating. Now, the other thing to talk about in regards to the hacking is that this could also be the catalyst to bring about, artificial intelligence, supercomputer, quantum computing systems. If it gets so bad, if there's devastation, destruction, if banking systems collapse, water systems, electrical grids, all this kind of stuff, there could be a demand from the people to say, hey, we've got to fix this, we've got to stop this. And one of the solutions, and actually an easy solution, would be to bring online quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and say, okay, now you're in charge of this internet security, you're in charge of cybersecurity. And odds are, I'm no expert from what I've understand, that at least for now, that type of system would do very well at protecting the United States, its infrastructure, from hacking attempts from China. Now, of course, it's like a locked door. Someone will always figure out how to pick it. But at least for now, that could be the case. And so, is it a twofold mission to bring us down, cause destruction, and to kick open the door so that artificial intelligent computing can take over? Skynet can finally go online and take over and secure everything. I don't know, but I'm telling you, it doesn't look good. And with the propaganda being put out, with the Obama's movies, and then just the constant, regular, statements and warnings from FBI, DHS, other government agencies that this is happening, that this will be destructive, and that the World Economic Forum has talked about it at length repeatedly. I think it's something we need to be preparing for. I know that many of you are, and honestly, in my opinion, and I'm not the tech guru, okay? I can use a computer, I can do certain things on it, but I'm not a tech guru. But in my opinion, the best defense for this is to be able to just remove yourself from the technological system. Have an alternative way to purchase things where you're not using your banking and your debit cards and stuff. Don't keep all of your private personal information just online. Have hard copy backups of it. This is why I've pushed for years to have actual physical books. Even if you have all these PDF downloads of books and you have it saved on a disk in a computer, that's vulnerable. You need to have hard copy backups of it. Important documents, titles, deeds, birth certificates, banking records, investments, all this kind of stuff. You need to have a hard copy of it, because if it all comes crashing down, it could bring you down with it, obviously. And we need to be prepared for that. We need to be as self-sufficient as possible. And in this instance, maybe that self-sufficiency needs to be more of a primitive kind of self-sufficiency, so that we can do things kind of the pre-technological era. Either way, I'd say there's pretty good odds that this kind of stuff is going to happen, just based on all the conversation of it. And the fact that it is happening, it's just not quite hit that wide-scale, very dangerous level. But most likely it will, and we need to get prepared for it, folks. We need to get our houses in order and prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.